We're Tracy and James McCoy, and this is the Fish Slap Effect podcast. Where leaders, creators, and disruptors collide. Each week, we bring you honest conversations about business, marketing, leadership, creativity, and the bold ideas that help people stand out in a noisy world. Whether you're building a brand, growing a business, or looking for fresh inspiration, you're in the right place. Let's make a splash.
So take us back to the beginning. What inspired you to start Get Fish Slapped? What problem did you see in the marketing world that you knew you could solve differently?
Well, that was a long time ago, right?
Mm-hmm. 11 years, right?
Yes. Almost 12, I feel like, right?
Yep.
Well, going back to when I started the business, I was really excited because we had just recently got married and we were getting ready to start our family together. And I really wanted to create some balance in my life. And I wasn't too sure what that meant because in my previous career, I loved the marketing aspect of everything that I did with rebranding restaurants and, all of these really fun things, and saw what the agencies did and saw how much work we had to do. And I thought, hey, we can do this a little bit differently. And maybe I can create some balance for my life versus what it's like in the hotel world where, you are working pretty much 24/7. Now, in our own business, we're working 24/7, but it's on our own terms. So I think for me, like the biggest inspiration was being pregnant with our first daughter, Riley, and wanting to be able to be there for all the really important moments, whatever that might be. And, be able to spend that time with her and know that it was on my own terms and that I had that control over my life and I was able to build that balance, whatever that looked like for our family.
Got it. So starting a business is never easy. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in those early days and how did you push through them?
The biggest challenges were the balance and trying to figure out how to do things with starting a brand new business and being just starting out with a business and then also with a brand new baby and being a first-time mom and, how do I balance all of these things and what does that look like? And all of this is really exciting and everything happened really fast. So that was really cool, scary, and everything all at the same time. But I think the biggest challenge for me initially was really just looking at like how do I do this and how do I not have that mom guilt and carry that guilt that like I, had to fly over to San Francisco for a couple of days and I wasn't there, but we were creating something for the life that we really dreamed about and, up late, working all the time and trying to build processes and build the business and, feeling that like guilt and constraint. So I think that was probably the biggest challenge for me was understanding what that balance meant to me.
Probably the support of your business partner as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, that wasn't the challenge, but that was what helped, right?
So full transparency, I'm her business partner.
Yes, but that was probably like one of the hardest things, though, because with anything, when you start your own business, regardless of what the business is, it's a lot of work. You're everything, right? You're you're the accountant, you're human resources,
maintenance,
creative, maintenance, technology, all the things, and catering, whatever it might be, you're everything, right? So it's figuring out the right way to balance all of the pieces and not feel guilty and, make sure that you're there for the important things.
Awesome. So you have the answer to this question already because it's been asked so many times. Get Fish Slapped is unforgettable. What's the story behind the brand name and how does it reflect the company's culture and mission?
With our name, as goofy as it sounds, we want to give people a little fish slap, and that opens their eyes to new opportunities. And when I was trying to come up with the name, 9 months pregnant with our first daughter, Riley, pregnancy brain and everything, talking to James over here, fearless business partner, I'm like, what should I call the business? And it was our little joke when we lived on the beach about getting fish slap, which was like giving you a little wake-up call, and he's like, well, we call the business Get Fish Slap because our vision is going to be to give people a little slap and wake them up and open their eyes to new opportunities because our goal has always been, we want to be there as a support and as a partner to take things off of your plate to help you focus on building other pieces of your business while we help you grow from a marketing perspective. So we were just giving people a little wide awakening, so to speak.
Awesome. And it kind of fell in line also with other businesses out there where we don't want to give them shout outs, but we'll give them shout outs like Standing Dog, Casual Fridays. They created that imagery of something like bigger or something exciting instead of the Acme marketing agency. So, no, I can see Get Fish Slapped. Totally rememberable. Got to say it slow. I know we've been in meetings where the facilitator has just said our name over and over and over again as a joke, but it's great because it just presents the name to our audience over and over.
So genius marketing, right? There you go in itself. Everybody remembers some version of the name. So I think something worked. I guess it does make sense that we're a marketing agency, huh?
There you go.
There you go.
No fishing rods here. So anyway, you successfully led this agency for more than 11 years. What do you believe are the biggest factors behind the longevity and the continued growth of the business?
Besides you?
Besides me.
Besides you. Well, I think a big piece of it is building a really great culture with our team.
Mm-hmm.
We're very, we work very hard, and we try to hit deadlines, and we don't try to bite off more than we can chew. But we also think it's really important that we treat others the way that we want to be treated, and we want our team to feel valued. So we work really hard on that core value, and we treat everything like we're owners and not renters. So, like we're very hyper focused on making sure that we feel like we're part of our client's business, that we're partners in their success. So we own our piece of their success just as much as they would if we owned their business. We want to make sure that we're making smart decisions and that we're thinking about budgets, and we're not just trying to sell you ads and go, oh, well, you just should spend all this money. We really want to look at what's right for our clients. And I think by doing right for our clients and doing the right thing and building a great culture with our team, that's really helped us continue as far as longevity goes.
Okay. So as a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, balance can feel impossible at times. How have you managed the demands of a family life while building and scaling a successful company?
It
I
goes
know.
right back to
No,
you. Did you
no.
just formulate all these questions so I would say you?
No. Nice
You
try.
didn't? Okay.
So what are some specific, what are some tools that you use to kind of keep things on track?
Well, a big shout out to Apple. I
Shout
love
out
the
Apple.
family calendars. They're amazing. So, we build our life in our calendars. We almost schedule a little bit too tightly, but we schedule every minute essentially of our day to balance things with our kids, so we can each get an opportunity to spend time with them, to do different things, and that we cover all our bases with meetings and everything else that we have that's important for the business, and time to build the business and work on different things to continue to keep us relevant and everything else and get our name out there. And I think, again, going back to the word balance, there's no real such thing. I think that people have this thing in their head about I need to find a job that's going to give me balance. Well, what exactly does balance mean to you? For me, it could mean weekends off, but for you, it could mean having Tuesdays and Thursdays off and being able to go to soccer practice with your kids.
Yeah.
So everybody has a different definition of what that means and why it's important to them. So I think that's always just something to consider, for anybody listening, as you're thinking about what that looks like for you and your business, or if you're feeling frustrated, those are some things to think about, because I think in the beginning I got really hung up on, needing to have balance and frustrated at myself for not creating the right balance. But it was well, what is that balance and what does it mean for me? And that's what's helped me continue to grow personally and professionally.
Was there ever a moment when you questioned whether you could keep going? And what helped you stay motivated? It's not me. During those difficult times?
So I think always there's been times, especially in the early days, where I'm like, oh my gosh, do I really want to keep doing this? And it's hard because sometimes things are really great, and other times, you're growing, but it's stressful and it's a lot of pressure because, you're it, right? And there was a point, and we were probably 2 or 3 years in, where I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted to keep things moving along. And I remember talking to my Aunt Michelle, and she's had her business for a really long time. She's always owned businesses, and she told me, she's like, you can always go work for somebody else. This might be your moment to have your business. So, don't give up on it. You can always go work for somebody if it doesn't work out. And here we are almost 12 years later, and we're pushing along and continue to grow. And I think that was a pivotal moment for me, because I remember that. I'm like, always keep good relationships. And, if something wasn't going to work out, it could always go work for somebody else. And then we just keep steadily but surely growing. So I guess we're stuck with the business now,
There
right?
you go. So leadership evolves over time. How would you say your leadership style has changed from when you first started the agency to today?
Well, I think first starting the agency, it was just me. So I did everything. And then when you came on board, you started doing different things, but I was like afraid. I'm like, you're my husband. I should trust you wholeheartedly. However, let me see everything first. And I've started to be able to give things away a little bit better and be able to let people take things off my plate. I think that was one of my biggest challenges, like early on from a leadership perspective, is I was more of a micromanager because I wanted everything to be exactly how I would do them. So it's really cool now because we have such a great team, and I feel like everybody really takes ownership, and I feel confident that they're trying to do things as well as I would, if not better at times, right? Lots of things that they do better than I can. So it's nice to be able to see that, and I think it's being able to really just stay involved in the business and what people are working on and being able to be there to be a supporter and a coach and a mentor versus being a micromanager.
It probably frees up a little bit of your time, too.
It does.
And that leads into our next question with that free time. Marketing trends change constantly. How has Get Fish Slapped stayed innovative and relevant in such a fast-moving industry over a decade?
I'm a research junkie.
Okay.
Research junkie. And I feel like
Google fanatic.
Google
better.
fanatic.
No junkies.
All the things. But in all seriousness, this space evolves so quickly, and it's always changing and ever evolving. And with the introduction of AI, like many years ago, we were early adopters in that space and looking at how we can use those tools to help better our business and everything else. And I think the biggest thing that's helped us stay relevant is continue to stay on top of not just trends, because trends are here and they go away. Like social media trends are really cool and they're a lot of fun and they're great to participate in, but they don't necessarily attribute to long-term growth. So it's important for us to be able to understand the balance between like what's cool and trending versus what's here to stay and what makes sense to adopt long-term, and ensuring that we're applying all that to the various pieces of our business, because we don't just do one thing. There are several facets to our business, whether it be social media management and looking at what's cool and trending and making sure that we're staying on top of that to help clients' social channels look really great. But then it goes back to like the advertising tactics and how is the website optimized and, all these other pieces as well to ensure that holistically we have a really great whole client. It's not just one piece of our service that's really good.
So is there any one thing or two things that you could mention that were an innovation that you're kind of really into or geeked out about? Like, for example, Apple Business Connect. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So Apple Business Connect. So that was one thing where years and years ago we were like struggling, figuring out, like we wanted to be able to change people's information on their Apple Maps because they were getting confused, like, hey, my directions aren't right on Google. And then we look up Google and everything's great on Google, but it's not on Apple. So we found all these different ways to get in and not directly through Apple. And then at some point we were able to get in directly through Apple, but it wasn't Business Connect. And then all of a sudden they made this really cool change to introduce Apple Business Connect, and it evolved into this really cool platform. So I'm like, okay, we've got to do this for us and get our clients on board immediately, if not sooner. And it's been really great because we've been able to stay on top of trends there, and also been invited to speak at many Apple events to talk to their customers about Apple Business Connect and marketing trends, because we've stayed on top of what's happening in that ecosystem, and have also been featured on Apple's website, on their Business Connect website.
Shout out to Apple.
Shout out to Apple. Thanks for the feature. So cool.
There we go. So what advice would you give a woman who wants to start their own business but are afraid to take the leap because of family responsibilities, fear of failure, or uncertainty?
Well, if you don't try, you can't fail. So if you fail, you can always turn back and you can go back and work for somebody else. But if you don't put yourself out there and at least give it a shot, then you're never going to know. So, just try your hardest and give it a chance, because you never know. You might have the next big thing, or it might be your time. And you know what? If it's not, you can always go back to what you were doing. Just don't burn any bridges. That would be my biggest piece of advice.
So I always kind of goof around, and I always say that there's no such thing as a small business. So, like, for example, with Get Fish Slapped, it didn't, day one, this building didn't show up, the offices didn't show up. So could you speak a little bit to, like, even if your starting point's too small, that's okay? kind of a thing?
Oh
or-
yeah, sure. I mean, I started at our kitchen table. That was the place where all the ideas happened with, the dogs on my lap and trying to figure out what was next. And then once the business started, that turned into a little desk in the kids' playroom. And then that evolved into a little building in our backyard, a little she shed before those were a thing, that we turned into an office and kind of outfitted it so it wasn't, again, to go back to creating a little bit of balance. We were taking 12 steps to get out to the office versus working in the playroom with the kids. And then it evolved into an actual office building that progressively we continued to grow into. So it's never, you don't have to have a big office or a fancy building or anything like that to get started. You just need a space. And I mean, a lot of great companies, look at Apple, they started in a garage.
It's true.
So that's really a thing.
Awesome. So looking ahead, what excites you the most about the future of Get Fish Slapped, and what legacy do you hope to leave through your work, your leadership, and your family?
Well, I think it's really cool with Get Fish Lab just how we've grown, and we're in a small community. And before we started, there weren't any other marketing agencies in this area. So we were able to bring something to our market that gave kids in the area a reason to come back and that could stay. And talking to even employees that have worked with us in the past or that work here, they didn't realize that they could come home and use some of their creative abilities back here where we're located in Sebring, Florida. And it's really fulfilling for me that we were able to do something like that, and it's bigger than just us. And getting involved with the schools and just different places to be able to talk to young minds that are developing into careers like this and be able to help be a mentor for them is really exciting.
And just stepping out of my shoes as somebody that's been asking questions and interviewing you, I think it's cool that our team, some of the life moments that they've achieved, a couple of our employees got new cars or new cars to them. Two of our employees were able to buy their first house. And so from a legacy perspective, you should feel really good about yourself. You should feel really proud of yourself that you're providing these people opportunities that they might not normally have. So there you go. Points for the hub/interviewer.
Well, and I think we did that together because,
We did. So
strong silent support.
moving on, we're almost done. So you'll be off the hot seat. Next
Thank
time you can
goodness.
ask me questions.
Okay, sounds good.
So do you consider yourself a leader, a creator, or a disruptor?
I have to just pick one.
You don't have to pick one, but while you think about it, I will tell you that I consider myself as a disruptive creator. There you go. So going back to you, do you consider yourself a leader, a creator, or a disruptor?
I would say a disruptive leader.
Oh, okay. Can you give me any examples of that, or you'd rather just stick with your answer?
Because I always want to change something.
Okay.
Pretty much, we get started with something, and I'm like,
What about
here's
that?
it.
What about that?
What about this? What about this? What about this?
There you go.
I just don't. I don't feel like status quo is ever good enough, and I'm always looking at, if there is something new and something different that we're able to adapt if needed. So I tend to disrupt a little bit more than I probably should.
Cool. All right. The last question. Do you feel that seat cooling down?
Finally.
I bet.
Okay.
All right. So whether in life or business, looking back, what was your fish slap moment?
My fish slap moment.
I know. Long time ago. 2008. Just kidding. Go ahead.
My fish slap moment. I think I've had a lot of fish slap moments.
Okay. Like one that stands out from others.
Well, I think like more recently, like in the past several years, it's really been about when you talked about leadership style and being able to take a little bit of a step back, was being able to find some of the right people to be able to help us continue to grow our company, and that I couldn't do everything myself, and that I needed to let go of some of the things, and that was going to be the next phase of growth for us.
Okay. I also think, and if you want to talk about it, fine. If not, you don't have to. You started to reinvest not only into the assets and not into the company, but in yourself.
Yeah, that's been a big thing, especially this year, because I think going through starting a business, evolution of the business, having a family, first child, then a second child almost 7 years later, it's almost like starting over, and then I kind of lost a little bit of myself in between where I didn't really take care of me And this year we started personal training, which has been great. Been getting back to the gym, getting strong. Oh yeah.
There you go,
With these
adding
guns.
value.
Yes, adding lots of value. So that's been a lot of fun, and I'm feeling really good that I've been able to take care of me a little bit, and that's been great.
Awesome. Well, that concludes the interview portion. Congratulations. You did a great job.
Thank you. You're a great interviewee.
Thank you. EP Ace, thank you. Shout out to EP Ace, doing a great job over there. I know you can't hear him. You'll hear him next time. I think it's about time to go have some Halo Top ice cream made with stevia. Shout out to Justin Wolverton and his partner. And we haven't got paid anything, but if you want to send us some ice cream or one of those cool Do Not Disturb spoons, that'd be awesome. So that concludes our podcast, episode 1, episode 0, whatever you'd like to call it, of the Fish Slap Effect. That's Tracy. I'm James. We're looking forward to you joining us soon and helping you make a splash.